Thank you for joining me for the Stampastack by mail. Now this is going to be a video tutorial that you can always go back at any time. And what we're going to be doing is making 10 cards today. We're going to be making 10 cards, 5 cards in this one design and 5 cards in this other one design. So you have 2 designs, 5 cards each, which gives you a total of 10 cards. I will be offering a variety of different cards every month. So this Stampastack will in the mail will also run in September, October, and maybe in November if there is interest. So each Stampastack by mail will provide 2 designs, 5 cards each, and that will help you quickly create your supply of Christmas cards. Okay, there will also be a video, PDF tutorial that will be mailed out on how the dimensions and how to create these cards. If you have any questions, you can always drop them at northernstamper@gmail.com. Now, the supplies that you're going to need is some ink, and for this class, I highly suggest Cherry Cobbler, Evening Evergreen, Sahara Sand, and Misty Moonlight. So these are the colors we are going to be using, or you can use in your choice for stamping sentiments and such like that. So those are the colors that you are going to be using. You will also need your adhesive, which is some either liquid glue, okay, or the tape runner, some dimensionals. Okay, those are the adhesives that you can use, that you're going to need handy. You will also need to have your trimmer close by because you will be doing some scoring and or cutting if you need. So have this handy. Another item you are going to want is the piercing mat. Dependent on what stamps you use. If you use something that is a polymer, such as that you can see through, you do need the piercing mat to give that cushion. You also take a look for some of the stamp sets that have sentiments that you want to use. For this month's Stampastack, I'm going to be using Christmas Season and Christmas to Remember, and they are both from the mini catalog. And if you are not a demonstrator with me, you might want to consider that if you are going to get the starter kit, to toss in one of these, as they are the most expensive bundles that they are. Christmas Season runs about $81, and Christmas to Remember, they both come with dies, runs about $79 or $75. I can't remember exactly, but they're both located in the mini catalog. I highly suggest using them. They're fantastic. This one is in particularly really good because it has just a whole bunch of sentiments, and you won't need really any other stamp set other than those for images. So this is great for Christmas as it has all of the sentiments in it that you need, just so that you know. What you will also need is your scissors, some little snips. You might want to add in some Wink of Stella as you add in the card. And in your pack, there is some red gems embellishments that will look really great on your card. Okay, are you ready to go? If you have any questions, northernstamper@gmail.com. Send me an email and I will quickly help you. As I said, this tutorial will be available to you. There is no end date that it will disappear at all, as it will be uploaded for you to use. Don't forget, if you do enjoy this type of format of learning, sign up for the next Stampastack for September. I've already started designing those cards and will be preparing them. So, in the meantime, let's get started. We are going to make one of the cards for this Stampastack. Now you will notice that you have a variety of different packages. So there are different colors. So I'm just going to open some of them up. And you can choose whatever side of designer series you wish to use. I'm going to be going through and making them. And let's continue on. So there's, that was mint macaron, and this is a card base with evening evergreen. So there was the mint macaron, the evening evergreen. There's one with cherry cobbler, which was already made. So you may see the two different sides. If you don't like what they're matched with, go ahead and change them around. But all of the designs will be the same for these 5 cards. Okay, so this one has a bit of a blue, so to highlight some of the color in here. And I'm going to show you what it's going to turn out as. So it's going to look like this. There is a score right here. And that's, we're going to go through and make these cards. So there's one, this is my sample card, and this is the one with the cherry cobbler card base. And for some of them, just be aware of the directional designer series paper. You may wish to just kind of tweak them a little bit, add some embellishments if you like, and such and like that. So let's get started. I'm going to show you how to and where we are going to score these. So you will need, I'm going to just take all these papers out. You will need your trimmer or scoring tool. Okay, so I've already pre-scored it at the standard size for a card base. We just need to add one more to the card front. So we're going to put it in. Okay, so we're going to score it. So it's already scored at 5.5. Oops, that's a little high. So that's, it's already pre-scored at 5.5. So that makes the half part. Now we're going to pull it back. Now you're going to do this for each card. So you're going to pull it back to 4 1/4. So at 4 1/4, you're going to score the card base, and that's going to be on the front. And that's going to give you some space right here. So, and that's where the fold is going to be when you open the card. There we go, like that. So we will be gluing this down, and it becomes a card like this. Okay, so I'm just going to go through the pieces. So that's scored at 4 1/4. So you will notice that there is like a mat. So you're going to notice that it fits better one way than the other. Just double check. It is 3 3/4. No, 4 by 4. So it doesn't matter which way it fits. And there's a matching one for that little area that we scored at. So I'm just going to lay these down. Okay. And that's 4 inches by 1. Okay. So they also have the designer series paper. If it is direct, take a look to see what side you're going to use. If it is directional, just be aware of that. And that will lay on. I'm just laying these down for you. And on each one. Now, if you're doing the same one as me, you are going to notice that there is a label included. And this color is a very vanilla. We wanted to pick up the very vanilla that is in the leaves here on that. And there is some gold ribboning to accent that, and we will place it together. So I can see that all of the pieces lay and fit nicely together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue these down first so I don't lose them. Okay, so let's get our glue. And I'm going to adhere that onto the card base first. I mean onto the mat with a nice frame all the way around. And then place it on the card base. Okay. All right. Just like that. So you can see it fits all the way around. I'm going to add the little piece onto the mat itself again, and add some glue and lay it down. Okay. So I have that done. What I'm going to do next is we are going to add the ribbon. Now, if you want to make a bow now. Let's try and do that. Can I make a little bow? Should hopefully be long enough to do. Okay. And if you pull on the ears, that makes the bow a little smaller. What I want to do, that bow, I don't know if it fits right on there. If you do, if you want to use the bow with the loops, you can just make sure it sits the way you want. And you're going to tuck these in on the inside. I'm going to do a shoelace knot since I like that better. I'm going to open the card, and where this strip is that I'm going to be gluing down, I am going to add the ribbon there. So I'm just going to add some with the Scotch tape, wrap it around, and because it's so long, I'm going to cut some of that off, and I'm going to use that on the front. Okay, and I'm going to use the Scotch tape to hold that down. And what I can do now that I have the ribbon in place, I can make sure that I add enough glue. Okay, and I'm just going to close the card. And I'm going to press down on that area. And when you open the card, those two pieces will stay together. Okay, so I'll press down. I'm going to use the rest of my ribbon. I'm going to slip it underneath. I'm going to make a little shoelace knot. And if you want, you can always add a little adhesive dot to keep this ribbon in place. I'm just going to kind of have it in the middle there. Tidy up the ends. Okay. I love this color of ribbon, this gold. It's fantastic with this paper. Oop, I think I need some better scissors. It's time to sharpen those scissors. Okay. So I'm just going to angle cut those. Oh, maybe this. There we go. I want it in the middle. If you want, you can just place this on here with a sentiment. Okay, whatever sentiment you like. If you want to know the colors to use, so this is Misty Moonlight. You can stamp a sentiment in Misty Moonlight. There is Cherry Cobbler in here. There is also Sahara Sand. You could use Evening Evergreen to stamp your sentiment. That would really look good. That would really pop it up here. And the card base is Soft Succulent. So you can either stamp your sentiment, or if you have some additional little pieces, I'm going to show you, I'm going to stamp a little bit extra on here. So I'm going to get my inks and a stamp set. So hold on. Some of the stamp sets I have that I'm going to be using throughout this video is Well Defined. Okay, the Well Defined. Now this has the different little, what is it? Definitions of the words. That looks really cute on a card. I thought that's really nice. So that's the Well Defined. For this card though, I was thinking of using Christmas Seasons. So placing some of these images in the corners, or maybe just even picking up the pine cone and stamping with Christmas to Remember some of the sentiments from here. So let's move on and pick our sentiment that we're going to be placing on our card. Okay, so I'm going to fit this one on. So if I just lay that down, I can see it fits nicely on there. Have a holly jolly Christmas. I think that kind of matches the paper background. And what I'm going to also do is use this very small pine cone in Sahara Sand and stamp some on there. So first I'm going to stamp my sentiment. And I have decided I'm going to pick up on the Evening Evergreen because it's the dark color. I'm going to pat and turn, make sure it's well inked. And I'm going to place that right in the middle. There we go. Okay, so I have my sentiment stamped on there, and I'm going to pick up the Sahara Sand ink, and I'm going to put some decorative stamps around that. Grab my blocks. Now, as I said, I'm going to use the small little pine cone. Okay. So because I've never used the pine cone before, what I want to do is I'm going to stamp on the paper to see what it looks like. Okay, so I'm going to ink it up, And I'm going to stamp once. And I stamp again to see what it looks like for stamping off. That looks actually kind of cute. Now, is this the same? Ah, this looks like this is one of the, would be the main one. And then I take this one and stamp on top. It does, so I can see some of the darker image. I'm going to keep working on that. Now, it's not quite working out because I don't have some padding underneath, but at least it gives me an idea. So do I want to stamp off first on the first one? So work around on the paper to see what you like. Okay, so I think that looks pretty cool. I like this image. I'm going to try and go with the lighter ones. So I'm going to get something to put underneath. And I'm going to use my piercing mat and whoops, a little bit of paper so I don't mess it up. Okay, got my little scrap of paper here. And I'm going to, I think maybe I'll just do it full strength here. Yeah, because that's always full strength. And yeah, so I'm going to do that. I always like to refer to my samples that I've taken up just to get an idea. Oh, that's going to look really cool. Okay, and I'm going to use the rest of the pine cone on here. Stamp on top. And again. That actually looks pretty cool. Now I'm debating on whether I should add some little of the little pieces underneath. Let's see if I added that. I guess, or I could always add some more pine cones. Let's just add a little bit more pine cone to that. Okay. This is the fun part, is decorating everything. And I think I am going to add a little bit of a leaf in there, or pine needles. So let's add that in. Just have it coming off. And you'll notice that I'm just kind of stamping off with the images. Okay, all right. Let's pad that on with some dimensionals. We're going to add that onto the front. Now, if you have around, you can use some sprigs. Sometimes they have the gold little sprigs, or you have die cut them out and add it behind them. That would really add something. But I'm just going to make a very simple card. Add some of this, the dimensionals onto the back, and just pop it on the front. Now in your pack, you also have red little embellishments that you can add in. You can always add some Wink of Stella. I'm just gonna maybe add a little bit. Remember to pat. You don't want to wipe too much because it will wipe away or smear the ink. So I'm gonna add a little bit here and there. And then I'll add some embellishments at the very end when I do all the cards together. Okay, so that is one of the cards. I'm going to do another card to show you, and we'll continue on. Right, the next card I decided to do, which is the same pattern. I'm going to need to score that line on the front at 4 1/4. Place it in the trimmer, score at 4 1/4. Okay. And so that will be the front. I have my pieces. Now remember, this is directional, or if I use that side, it doesn't matter. But I'm going to be using the trees on the front. Okay. So you always have to watch, as it is a directional designer series paper. I'm going to lay that down. Okay. Once again. There we go with the paper. And we are again going to do the ribbon. This time it is in the red. And, oh, this is cut off. I'm going to use a different one. So we'll toss that. So let's get this glued together again. Same like the first one. I've laid it all down to make sure it all fits. It is all cut correctly. And I'm going to adhere it onto each piece. Okay, there we go. The direction's going the right way. Okay. I'm going to put this little strip on. And again, we're going to do the ribbon around. I like the shoelace look. So again, I'm going to be doing that using a small amount going over. So I don't want to waste the ribbon and put it all the way in. I just want it right on the edge just so that I can use and anchor it with some tape. Wrap it around. Okay, if you want, add an adhesive dot under there. I'm going to cut. Try and keep as much ribbon available so I can continue with the ribbon. Ensure I put enough adhesive on the part that's going to be glued down. All right, so press that down. Get my ribbon, make my little shoelace knot. And again, tie it. Okay. And I am going to just grab a label. The one that I had wasn't quite cut properly. So I'm just going to grab any one that I have here. Okay. Now, oh, that's an idea. If you have any designer series paper where you can cut out characters, you might want to add him on. Like, you know, see what you have. That might work. Or this is, I could always put him on, but I think it kind of clashes with that. It's up to you. Just to give you an idea. And again, I'm going to add my sentiment. I'm going to use the same sentiment. And the evening evergreen, or you could always pick it up with the red ribbon, which might work really well too. Okay, I'm just going to ink that up and stamp it. Okay. Now, if you have a little bit of this ribbon left over, actually maybe what I'll just do is try and scoop some from here. I'm going to make a very tiny, tiny little knot. Okay. Oops, it doesn't want to work. Come on. And I'm going to use the rest of it. There we go. I'm going to cut it like this. Oh, don't forget to angle cut the end. Now, even though it's a small amount, what I can do is just twist it. And I have a little bit of it hanging off underneath. Okay. Now I've got a really tiny piece that I'm working with, so maybe you have a little larger, but it's to give you an idea on what you can do. And I'm just going to add that like that. Place on the dimensionals. Make sure I have a dimensional on that little spot. Okay, I'm going to add the dimensionals all the way around. And pop it on the front. See, I only needed a small little piece of ribbon. You really, it all on how you use it. And I can add that on. So that was that card. There we go. Gives you some ideas. There we go. And that is how we're going to make the 5 cards. It's like a little booklet. Okay. So if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, what do you think so far? The next card that we're going to be making is using the paper piecing. And what you may want to do is just double check. We're going to lay it down and make sure that all the pieces are correct. So same like the other card that we created, you have a variety of different cardstocks and papers If you want to mix them around, go ahead. They're all should be cut to the same size. And I'm just going to do a few of these so that you get an idea. Okay, so I'm going to pull them out. I'm going to start actually with this one here with the Misty Moonlight. Okay, and like I said, I always like to start by double checking all the pieces. Okay, so I have my card base. Okay, and inside you are going to have a piece of cardstock that I thought was complementary to the Designer Series paper. So if I lay that down, I'm actually going to flatten that a little bit with my bone folder. So if I lay it down, it's going to go on top. Okay, I'm going to lay this down. I want the most prominent piece in the center. And then I have a left and a right. Now, it looks like, now you can either butt up together and have them go across like this. I will make one card like this just so you know. Or if you like it so that it has a little bit on each spacing in between, all you need to do is cut down the pieces that are pre-cut. You just need to cut off a little bit on the right-hand side. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So right now, they are at 1.5. So if you want that spacing in the middle, you just cut it down to 1 1/4. Okay, so, and I'm just going to cut off a little bit on each one. So just in case you want. So right now it's at 1.5. Okay, if you want the space in between, you're going to cut it down to 1 1/4 each piece. Okay, so it's, if you don't want the space, you just leave it at 1.5. So if you want the spacing in between, then you cut it down to 1 1/4, and you'll see that it fits just inside, okay, on that piece of white, or in this case, very vanilla. So for this one, I'm going to do it at the 1 1/4. So I've cut them down. And let's add the adhesive to each one. And I'm going to start on the left side. Oh dear, that was the wrong side. Oh dear. I want the other one. So hold on. I'm just going to go look through one of my other ones and see if I have that pattern paper in another one. And I do. So I can use that. Okay, cut it down to 1 1/4. And this time, I'm going to double check and make sure I am putting adhesive on the correct side. Okay, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to place it on the left-hand side. And I want a nice edge all the way around. And I'm not going to do the middle one. I'm going to go to the right-hand side because when you do that, it's easier to space the center than it is trying to figure out how to center the center or the edges. So I have enough space in between. And when I lay this one down, I can move it left or right so it fits properly in between. So hold it down. And I want a little bit of space. And there we go. And that will mount on top of the cardstock. I double check before I glue. Okay, and I'm just going to lay that down. Now in your pack, you do have some twine or some ribbon you can use to go around that. Now I didn't have any twine in this case, so I'm just going to go without it. Or I can always take a look in my little scrappy bin and see what I got. Okay, I can't use that because it's very vanilla. I do have a little bit of, this is kind of old ribbon. I guess I could use that. Okay, I'm going to use this and just make a knot and see how it looks. Okay. Not too sure. Maybe it's a little heavy for me. Maybe I'll just go around. I think it's going to be a little too heavy with a bow, so I'll just go around. The twine that you have is much thinner, so it should fit a little bit better. So I'm just going to put that on there. Tape it on the back. There we go. And on the front, when I'm done the sentiment, then I will put the rest of the bow on. So I'm actually going to, you can adhere this down now. Now I'm going to use dimensionals to adhere this down. I want this piece to pop up a little bit. So I'm going to add some dimensionals. Now you'll notice I'm using some of the leftover pieces, the edges of the dimensional page. It like to use all that I can. Okay, and make sure it's opening the right way. I'm going to lay that on top. Okay, and I have my little tag, which is in Very Vanilla. And because this is on Misty Moonlight, I like to add the same color in the sentiment. So I'm going to be doing that. Choose whatever color that you like that could be picked up. You could use the Evening Evergreen or the Sahara Sand, but I'm going to pick up from the card base. And I'm just going to stamp my sentiment, add it with some dimensionals. I'm actually going to add a little bit more. I want to make sure it sticks. There we go. Maybe that's overdoing it. That's actually a lot of dimensionals. And I'm going to, I could put it here, in the middle, off to the side. Just pop it on wherever you like. Okay. I'm trying to get it so that the ribbon is going in right in between those two dimensionals. There. Okay. And I'm just going to use the little knot because I wasn't sure where I'm going to put the sentiment. And now I can put a little knot here. A little shoelace knot. Okay, and I'm going to trim it up each end. There we go. And again, you can add Wink of Stella, some of those little red embellishments that you have. And there's the first card. Now I'm going to show you the other card with it spanning all the way across. So let's move on to that one. Now, where did I put it? Well, just grab one out of here. Is this the one I took the piece out from? I can't use that. Just got to make sure I got the right one. Let's use this one. Okay. I have them all in a little case to keep them separate. Okay, got my pieces. All right. There is my card base. This one nice and flat. This is my mat. There's the piece of basic white. I'm just double checking to make sure it all fits together. Now if I lay the three pieces on top, it should span it. Okay. Oh, that looks really cool. Gonna love this. Okay. So this one is spanning completely across the card. So what I'm gonna do first is glue down the white onto the card base. Now, if you don't want it to span across this, remember to trim down these pieces from 1.5 to 1 1/4. It's up to you. And what I'm going to do is this time I'm going to start in the middle because that's, I have to build out from the middle. Okay, so I'm going to go into the middle. The first piece goes in the middle. All right. And then I'm going to butt it up, left and right. Now I'm looking, it seems to be already off a bit. It seems to hang a little bit more on one side than the other. So my first piece was off. So I'm going to do some finagling. Carefully peel that up. Now you'll notice as I'm peeling it up, I'm pulling the papers gently away from each other. I'm going to leave that the way it is. Add a little bit more glue. And I'm just going to add a little space in between. There we go. So now it's spanning all the way. Oh, it's crooked. There we go. Come on. There we go. Sometimes that happens. Again, my ribbon. I'll add a little glue dot under that so it sticks down. Or a little piece of it. There we go. I'm going to add my ribbon around completely all the way around the 3 and tape it down. Okay. There we go. Looks very cool. I like how that looks. And I am going to make sure I have enough of this ribbon left over. Okay, I'm going to stamp my sentiment on my card, my little tag. I wonder if this one will fit. It may not. Might be a little bit large for what I'm using, but not, I'll just flip it over and do it again. Oh, it fit. That's fantastic. So it's a little off, so let's just turn it over and do it again. All right, we'll use the best from the ones. There we go. I'm going to add dimensionals to that. Okay. Make sure I span it enough so that when I lay the dimensionals, that the string will go kind of in between there. There we go. All nice and sticky. And I'm going to lay that on top so the string goes right in between. Right. There we go. Got a little piece of leftover twine. Add my little knot. Actually, when I add those red embellishments, this will really make it pop. It'll look really, really good with the little red in there. And add it to the card base. Okay. There we go. And this is the one that the pieces span completely across. So let's go back and I look at the difference. Okay. So this is the one where I've cut it down to 1 1/4. And this is the one where I've left it at 1 1/2. So you decide which one that you prefer and cut accordingly. Okay. So this is how we're going to make the 5 cards with this design. So we have 5 cards in this design and 5 cards in the other design. Oops, sorry. There we go. Let's kind of put them together. There, like this. So you're going to make 5 like this design and 5 like this design. And as you go along, you're going to find you go much quicker because you're making them all the same and they're all pre-cut the same. So that will give you a total of 10 cards